Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the latest episode of South Park, The Damned. And I really enjoyed this episode. There wasn't really a joke that kind of went on longer than it needed to in this episode, and it really advanced the kind of plots that we've been getting forward in kind of good and meaningful ways. So, the beginning of this kind of started out showing what's kind of been happening now that Kyle's dad, Skankhunt42, has been going after this Danish Olympian. And at first, she was on a talk show, and it's supposed to be supportive comments, but they were by people with kind of, the trolling names and everything, and it was kind of like bugging the crap out of her in the audience. And Kyle's dad is kind of like reveling in it, kind of seeing that other people kind of taking on the abuse and kind of trolling that he's been doing and adding fuel to the fire. And he's been like, yes, this is kind of what I've wanted or whatnot, trying to get this like internet notoriety. And we still don't know exactly kind of what his end goal is other than to be this troll and kind of revel in it and kind of take power from this negativity. So he's going on with that. We see the police come up to his house at one point and kind of asking questions, but they're more pertaining to Cartman's scenario, and it was really interesting seeing how they went about this, and that the weird relationship we have with social media is that when we are quitting it, we use it so extensively to say that we're quitting it that it's like, okay, are you sure you're done with this? Because they're talking about that and they're investigating the complete disappearance of Cartman's social media, either that it was a Twitter suicide, which he voluntarily did it himself and quit, which is strange because he didn't say anything about it, or that it was a Twitter homicide and that he was forcefully to remove himself from Twitter and all of his social media. And they're asking about that from Kyle's dad and then Kyle, and it's like, oh God, which then went to another great scene where everybody's like, the cops are on to us, man, the cops are on to us. It's like, and Butters is like, no, Cartman's gonna get us. It's gonna be Cartman. He's planning. We know this. He's gonna do something really bad. And I love Butters because he is such an interesting character and how they've evolved him. And he's like, the boys kind of bring out the best in Butters sometimes and sometimes the worst. And when he like follows around, especially in the one episode where he's like flipped off the whole school when they were trying to do the whole company thing that they were trying to do to profit and bro out and all that. And he's just like, we made a grave mistake here and he will come for us. And that was a cool shot to take away to show that Cartman's just kind of wandering the halls and seeing everybody just in their social media and everything was really effective to show how he's kind of out of the loop at the moment. And then seeing Heidi Turner's like, psst, kind of like gets his attention and kind of is explaining to him like, yeah, it's kind of weird without having followers and friends and all that online, but she takes him to the park and they start talking and everything. And we've learned that Cartman was actually trying to change himself, which is a weird and kind of interesting concept that can be going on. I don't expect him to be completely redeemed or changed, and I would not want that because that's not his character. He will do things at certain point, but he will always revert back to being that little asshole that will do whatever he wants in his own best interest. This is the dude who broke Scott Tenorman, alright? He's gonna do other weird kind of things, but it was kind of cool to see that he was trying to better himself in certain ways. And how Heidi was apologizing to him because, of course, when those kind of troll attacks go on, your first thought is, Cartman's doing it. It's gotta be. That's his MO. And seeing them kind of bond was interesting because you don't really see Cartman bond with that many people. And he was even explaining that and that he thought he had friends, but it turned out that he didn't since they pretty much came after him and destroyed all his stuff. And it was also interesting seeing the one car pull up and you're like, oh yeah, those are people that aren't on like Twitter and all that. And they're like tweeting about it and everything. It's like, yeah, they can actually look at the world around them and talk to people in person. Novel concept. And then we kind of see what's been going on with the debate and everything, which was great because you got Garrison against Hillary Clinton, and they of course prepped Hillary to be like, just call him a liar, that'll be it. You'll be great. Stick to that. You're fine. And then Garrison comes out of nowhere and says, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a jackass. Do not vote for me. Vote for her. And she's like, he is a liar. And she just went for it and pretty much ruined it for herself. And Garrison's just like, I'm giving this to you. For God's sake, I'm giving it to you. And it's just amazing to see this kind of train wreck going down in kind of tandem with what we've had from the real life debate. Now, granted, it wasn't that kind of one-sided and strange, but it's a kind of crazy situation. And he's like going throughout the rest of the episode being like, do not vote for me. What is wrong with you people? Stop this. And it was just great to see these people who are just buying into this hype train that he's saying things that people feel and everything. And they're like, oh yeah, this will be great. And it's like, oh my God, it just showed how a hype train can be so stupid in certain respects in that it catches you up. And then you're like, oh God, what have I done? With like games, movies, books, and all that, you're like, you buy into the hype, and then you're like, yeah. And even when the person's like, don't hype this up, geez, no, why? And it's gonna be like, interesting to see where South Park takes this. And it would be interesting to kind of see Garrison as president, because it would be horrible, yes, but the situations that would arise would be funny as fuck. And as that's going on, we get to see other people's kind of reactions to it, like Randy and Butter's dad, and they're like talking about it. It's like, why would you vote for a giant douche? And then they start like flip-flopping and everything, and then he's like, alright, I kind of get Garrison now. He's like, why would you vote for him? It's like, what's going on here? Something isn't right in what's going on in South Park, and like, it's mirroring the everyday world pretty well, because things are going kind of out of whack in certain parts. It's like, okay, and they're picking up with this on the show, and it's like, something's not right. And it's kind of cool how they're doing it, because he's like, alright, you want some memberberry pie? And Randy's like starting to get kind of wised up to something's weird with these memberberries. Something's kind of going on. And he goes to it, and he goes to this place that's run by the dude from Pet Sematary, and he's like talking about how he's had to get rid of all these crops to make more room for the memberberries and all that. And he's like, I don't get what's up with these people liking all these memberberries. And you see all this stuff. Like, oh my God, what the hell's going on with all this stuff? So we also then get back to Kyle's dad and his repercussions from the trolling of the Danish Olympian, and she killed herself. And it really freaked him out. He's like, oh God, I didn't want to go that far. And of course, that's usually the reactions with certain trolls, unless you get to the really freaky trolls that actually want that kind of stuff to happen. But he's like, oh God, oh God. So he then goes home, destroys the computer and the evidence and all that. And like, alright, need to get a new computer tomorrow. Oh, okay, I'll get it tomorrow. Or you can get it tomorrow. That's fine. That's cool. And then he like threw Ike off, and he's like, oh God, you can't find it. Okay, we're good. Because he'd gotten a note, like, they know who he is. And we had seen previously that the Danish people are like, we will get this troll. And I'm like, oh, so now he's got a whole country against him. That's gonna be interesting. And then he gets this email telling him to meet under a bridge, of course, going with actual mythology of troll lore, to meet under a bridge the next day. So that's gonna be interesting to see who this is, if it's the Danish people, if it's some other kind of party that's involved, because he got that email from someone who knew what the email address was. So I'm kind of excited to see where that's going to go. And then we end with Cartman having a kind of date kind of with Heidi Turner, even though both of them don't really kind of think of it that way. And they're just talking about stuff and all that, and Cartman's being himself like, so girls don't have balls? And so it's just funny to kind of see that. And then she's like, I'll show it to you if you want. And then he's like, holy shit. And that's kind of where it ends. And I'm like, Cartman being Cartman. And the interesting implication could be, if this actually kind of turns from like friendship, we could see Cartman kind of getting a girlfriend, which would be a kind of weird and kind of really interesting way to kind of take Cartman into directions you've never seen before, because you honestly would not think that Cartman would be able to let someone else into his life because of how self-centered he is. So I'm kind of excited to see what weird story crap we're going to get out of this, because You know it's not going to end well. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.